Hey, Maria back with another video. It's 6:19 p.m., March 2nd, and I'm sitting here in my room getting ready to wash the conditioner out of my hair. The maintenance people are outside putting in another water heater, so I'm like, okay, I got a few minutes. I usually like to leave that conditioner on a little bit longer so it's easier to comb my tangles out. So twiddling my thumbs in the meantime and decided to make a video. But this video is about giving and also about lack of selfishness. Sometimes there's been times where I've encountered people, going into stores, and I'm sure many of you have here. You'll see people who need help, people who maybe are homeless or whatever. And some of them are charlatans, so you got to be careful. But there's been times in the past when I was in a position to give. I gave. I never expected anything in return. Some of them wanted to clean my windows because some of them have a lot of pride. Like, they don't want to accept handouts because they realize that people work hard for their money, and they don't expect people to just give them something without something in return. And I appreciate that, but it's not necessary because I know my windshields are going to get dirty anyway, so I just give it to them, if I have the ability to do so. Sometimes when people give you things, they expect things in return when you never ask them for things. In this example, some of the time, there were times where my jobs were set up, and my perps got angry because I didn't see things the way that they did. I didn't accept their religious views. Maybe they didn't like my shoes, whatever, And it is illogical on their part, mainly because, number one, there was no agreement. Number two, when you give people things, especially from a Christian standpoint, you're giving because you are trying to help, and you're not doing things, you shouldn't do things with strings attached. And I've been very sad over this issue, not because I lost these people. I will tell you, sometimes when you lose people, it's not really a loss. It's actually the end of a unworkable situation that you may not even been aware of. Like many targets, they're not aware of why there's so much bullying at their workplace. But I will tell you this, targets, that if you are experiencing this, it's not by coincidence, okay? Especially when you've gone from job to job and this sort of rage continuously reoccurs. So, you should kind of clue in that this is not you. It's not you, okay? It's not you. It's people who don't appreciate you and expect things of you that go against your own personal beliefs. I think, for me, for example, I'm a woman who's a grown woman who enjoys my little hobbies, and that a lot of women my age wouldn't engage in those hobbies. A lot of women my age, I don't know what most women are engaged in right now. A lot of people have children that are very young, so they tend to them, or some of them are grandmothers and they're tending to their grandchildren. Some people are involved in, political issues, PTA, stuff like that. That's not my world, okay? I'm not a political person. I don't have young children to where I'm devoting my time to childlike activities. But, I do like my arts and crafts and stuff. And sometimes, we want to make people see things our way, so that, or try to, what I call it, forced friendships. I know in the past when I was growing up, and this goes both ways, you meet a friend and maybe they're into, I had a friend who was so into Mickey Mouse, right? Mickey Mouse, that was her favorite character. I could not get into Disney. I couldn't, even if I tried. And so you want to make them like things and do things, hoping that it's going to bring you closer together. But that is very backward way of thinking, because what's going to end up happening is they might go along with it for a while, but eventually the volcano is going to erupt. You're either going to get angry with putting on this facade 24 hours a day, or depriving yourself of your own needs and wants to make this person happy, and it's going to be a major imbalance. This is what happens to a lot of friendships, a lot of love relationships, family relationships. This is what happens because we put unrealistic expectations on other people. I wish I could find a friend who had all the interests that I had, you know, and even the person that I was communicating with for the last 5 years, who I really cherished and I appreciated her very much. There were certain things that she was into that I couldn't get into. Mind you, I never met this person. I never met her in person. I enjoyed her company, and I realized that what she did on her own time was her own time. That was what she did. But when we talked about arts and crafts, we talked about music, we talked about movies, we talked about things that we liked, and of course our experience of being a targeted individual. Okay, but I never tried to oppress her in any way. Like, she was into reggae, okay? And I like some reggae, but I thought she was kind of more engrossed into that culture and that lifestyle and that the music, the food, the quotes, the people who were behind that movement. She knew, she had a vast knowledge of that sort of thing. Whereas I didn't, you know. Sometimes we feel lost, you know, when we're around people who have an interest in things that we don't know or we have very limited understanding of, you know. And but I learned to appreciate her, and I didn't even have to learn to. I didn't have to be coaxed to appreciate her. I liked her right off the bat. But the thing is that it's about balance, you know. People have to gain confidence in themselves before they start trying to inflict or enforce their ideas, or I should impose their ideas and their beliefs and their preferences on other people. Basically what my perps and what most perps try to do is they try to modify you into something that you're not, you know. And I'm not that way. I could pretend to, but eventually that's going to erupt into something negative, you know, because the resentment's going to be so high that you're going to lash out in some way, you know. And I do suspect, and I really do suspect that a lot of the outbursts that people have, like, for example, I would never do this myself, but, you know, we talked about people going postal. I don't believe those are accidents. I really do believe that many of these people who go postal are indeed targeted individuals, people who are experiencing large amounts of targeting, workplace mobbings, because people just don't go off like that, okay? And of course, there's a certain level of denial that goes on with the perpetrators, because they like to create these sort of setups and these sort of frustrating situations. And when people respond negatively, which I'm going to tell you, they're going to respond negatively 100% of the time, because people want to go to work and they want to do their job. That's what they want to do, okay? It's wonderful if you enjoy it. It's wonderful if you get along with everybody. But for the most part, people want to go and do their job. At least I do, okay? And the majority of the targets do as well. They just want to do their job, do the best they can, and get on with their daily life once that the end of the day comes. So it's not. But these people who go postal, though, these people go postal because something in their environment is making it so that they're continuously dealing with frustrating situations, being dealt out, unfair situations, not being heard, being ridiculed, being belittled, whatever, all the way down the line. And I can tell you right now that the people who got involved in my targeting, meaning the people who worked with me, alongside me, are going to swear up and down that it wasn't that bad and blah, 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 to give a person a hard time. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Because number one, they will never see it from your perspective. Okay, the business owner, the boss, the manager, whoever is bullying you, they're in a comfortable spot. Okay, nobody's bothering them. Okay, they're getting instructions from maybe your family member or whatever to create issues, to give you a hard time, and they don't see it that way. They think, well, maybe I'm doing this for our own good. That none of that was good for me. I will tell you, there was nothing beneficial about being bullied year after year after year after job after job after job after job. Okay, but in their mind, they're thinking, well, it's tough love, it's this or that, or we're trying to bring her to Jesus or something along those lines. I will tell you, those sort of tactics will always have a negative consequence every single time. Now, whether that consequence is somebody going postal, which I would never do, or somebody having to suffer continuously, such as myself, dealing with bullying, somebody giving you a bad reputation, so on and so forth. So, I personally think that there's more to people who go postal than what we're told. They'll talk about this on the news, but they never say why this person went postal. They act like it's just something that just randomly happened. I don't believe it randomly happened at all. Also, I wanted to talk about the denial, the undermining your feelings. Sometimes I think perps don't even realize what they're doing. Like the girl that I mentioned in my last video, her family who was causing all the mobbings and the community harassment. They really did think, like her mom really seriously thought that she was trying to steer her daughter in the right direction. That's not how you steer people in the right direction, okay? And personally, I don't believe that my family are in any position to steer me in the right direction. They're not. It's like the blind leading the blind. I'm not trying to cut them down, but there's nothing that I would ever want to emulate from them. That goes from everything from their particular religious views, their stance on it, from any of it. I just don't. That's not a cut down. I never really thought to look at them under a microscope and analyze everything, but this is my life. This is my life. I moved away from home so I could raise my son and set life up the way that I wanted to. Okay? Because I had the freedom to do so. I was given that freedom by my mother and my father. Now, whether my parents liked the things that I did, which I know that they didn't necessarily like it, but they never said, we are preventing you from doing it, oh, I don't want you doing it. Never. I have the right to live my life how I want. And personally, this is how I choose to live my life. I choose to live my life to be somebody who engages in the things that they like to do, my hobbies. And really, when I think of why people point the finger at me, why are people allowing, for example, I don't want to bring up Joel's family, but I'm going to bring up Joel's family. Now, here's a woman, to me, who lives a life that I don't believe is moral. Okay, that's my personal belief. Okay, but I show my face on Facebook, and everybody's swearing up and down that I'm somebody who is the worst human being in the world. I will say that racism does play a huge role in this, because if she looks more credible in the eyes of the general public, we have a problem. Okay, I'm not saying I'm better. I'm just saying is like, really look at this situation here. It's illogical. It's illogical. And I never wanted to merge goals or do anything to represent my family. I never wanted to reflect badly on my family, but at the same time, I also knew, I always believed this, that my life had nothing to do with my family. Like, I always knew that it was different than my family, but I never believed that what I did in my life reflected on them, and it shouldn't. Even if I was in good standing with my family, and if I chose an alternative lifestyle, which I don't really see where my life is really alternative. I think my life is pretty normal, at least it is to me. But let's just say, for example, I was a continuous partier. I drank all the time. I was the kind of person that would go to Vegas and blow all my money. I dated multiple, guys, at least 3 each week. That was my lifestyle, which it is not. Okay, it's not. But if it was, that's my choice. Okay, and I would be very clear about this is my life choice, but it has nothing to do with my family. This is a life that I choose. This is what they want, and this is what I want. It's that simple. It doesn't mean if that was the path that I chose, that should not reflect badly on my mother. You know what I mean? But I will say I am angry with my mother, and I do think that what she did reflects badly on her because she allowed her children to behave in this way, to take control of a situation that they had no right to take control of, and to make decisions like forced marriage. To me, this whole IFR operation, I mean, seriously, is illegal, okay? I mean, it's illegal. It's human trafficking played out in your face, right? So really, nobody would ever think of my family as being criminals, but it is a criminal activity. It's criminal, okay? But anyway, their values are different than my values, and they will always be different. I can't be a puppet and to pretend that I believe the way that they believe. Do I believe in God? Yes, I do. I do believe in God. Okay. Do I believe in dominion theology? No. But I do understand where the dominion theology originated. It's the idea the Bible does talk about, and this good word will be preached throughout all the nations, and then the end will come. So that's one of the reasons why a lot of Christian missionaries go all over the world and convert people in different countries who have different religions into this one mainstream religion, even though there are different denominations. I don't fully get that, but whatever. But that's what they do, okay? But they do this through the act of prophesizing, okay? In a proper manner, meaning they either go door to door, they go to villages, they set up certain organizations. But when you do things to where you are using coercion, you are using force, you are using threats. And the threat is when you withhold employment opportunities. When you withhold employment opportunities, that is against the law. Okay, it's against the law because you're not supposed to discriminate against religion, and also it shows the element of human trafficking because that's a form of coercion. Number one, you're trying to force a person back to being married. You are threatening a person by withholding employment opportunities, and then going around town and spreading things and making people guardians of a almost 50-year-old woman. These people should not have this. I don't have any authority. I don't have a contract. That's just it. What makes this human trafficking is because when you have a person who says, well, like for example, Maria can't accept employment from anyone other than us. If she does, she's going to face legal issues. Now, this is what a lot of traffickers do. They'll say it's a legal issue. First of all, I never signed a contract. Okay, I never signed any contract. Okay, and the very fact that I signed no contract, and yet some people are able to say that they have authority and to act as if this is a legal issue, then they are treating me like property. You see, which makes this a form of modern day slavery, which obviously is human trafficking, which is illegal. I never signed a contract. I don't have a contract with my brother-in-law, ex-brother-in-law. I don't have a contract with Polly Graham. I don't have a contract. So these people are believing things, and there's a lot of ignorance, so much ignorance that it's not even funny. And then also, I'm obviously not even married to Joel. I'm not his wife. Now, I suspect that Polly might be his legal wife. Whether she is his legal wife or a common law type wife, I don't know for sure. I do know that they have a sexual relationship, and that I am totally fine with it. I don't even care. Seriously, I'm not saying that because I know that Polly wants to make me feel like, oh, he left. To me, that relationship is too weird for me. It's way too weird. Okay, if I wanted Joel, I would be knocking on his door, begging him to come back or let me come back. I would be doing that. I'm not doing that. I don't want anything to do with that. So have at it. But whatever the case is that I'm not in any relationship with these people. And what this whole operation is a form of human trafficking, which I will be doing a video on that some other time later to try to talk about why forced marriages are wrong. Also talk about human trafficking, the different forms of it. Now, I know that most people think that human trafficking is what, there's several forms of it, but like, a foreign person comes here and they're like, people have their passports and they're being forced into sexual servitude or something like that. That does happen. I would say that's a huge portion, but I'm talking about the most common one, which relates to labor trafficking, and also it could have a form of sexual exploitation to it, mainly because this is a family that practices something that I don't believe in. So I'll go into that another time. But there's so much ignorance that goes on in society, and people who don't understand the laws. And what bothers me so much is that it's not just the laws pertaining to employment, it's the laws that pertain to human rights, which they both go hand in hand in this situation. When somebody acts as if they have authority over a human being, that is so illegal. I don't have a contract. I'm not under a contract. I never signed any contract. There's not anyone in this world who, if the legal system is on my side on this one, okay? It's a crime being played out in front of everyone. And there's not very few decent people who are willing to stand up and say, this is wrong. Or they're not even, and if they do know, they might, or they're not even aware. That's what I'm trying to say, is that it's wrong. But it is wrong, okay? So anyway, when I give freely. If I help out a person who's in need, if they say thank you, great, but I don't expect things in return, and I think that the Christ-like way of doing things is you give, but don't expect things in return. You give freely, So anyway, I've been abused for too long, too many years, and I know people get tired of me making these videos, but the very fact that I'm in isolation, okay, is the most obvious fact that I'm a targeted individual. Okay, when they isolate you, when they prevent you from gaining employment, when they do all these sort of things. I also would like to say that if this employment manipulation is being orchestrated by Joel's family because because they feel it's some form of divorce settlement. Okay, obviously I'm not working in accounting, but I think a lot of office jobs have some sort of accounting work in it. But what I will say is that when I was working, like for example, the news station, when I was working at Organized Sports in Chatsworth, when I was working at the Farms Place, every job that I was working, they sabotaged. Like I was paying on the bills, I was doing the best I could. They sabotaged that. So they'd set you up and then they'd sabotage, So it's like, I feel as though these people are just like way off in their mind. They're like strange. Anyway, I want to go on with my life, and I don't want to remember any of you at all. I don't want to think about you. I don't want to, but I do, because I'm angry, because every day I am sitting here at this house and I'm thinking, my God, these people, what they do, and why is this okay? Why is this good? Why do people accept and allow this sort of garbage to go on? And so when you go to like places that are supposed to be reputable, like, some of these employment agencies, and they're sitting here cooperating with the woman who is married to her son, who I'm divorced from, who still wants to have a hand in it. And I'm basically telling these people, I'm divorced. She shouldn't be in any of my shit, right? Anyway, I'm baffled. I'm baffled and disgusted by the corruption. I'm just so disgusted. But I do believe that there is a spiritual reason why this happened to me, because there's so many people who this happens to, and they're frustrated. They'll stay thing, but they never want to really understand that, or link it to the legal system. And I'm linking it to the legal system. This is totally against the law. Totally against the law. I don't want Joel's family. I don't want them. I don't want my ex-family. You know, whatever problems they created, it's their responsibility to try to fix it as much as they possibly can if they have any sort of conscience. But as far as me having a relationship with these people to where I'm ever going to see them again or talk to them again, the answer is no. You know, there's certain things that people can do to where you can't feel anything for them, and I can't. I would be foolish to, you know. And I really strongly advise all targeted individuals to disassociate themselves from people who are going to abuse you to that extent. I really do. Anyway, I'm going to wrap up this video. When you give freely. You know, that's the way it is. Give from your heart. Give heart gifts, love gifts, gifts of love. When you see somebody who's down and you can help them, help them. Help them because you know that this is making their life better, you know, and help with people along the way if you can do so, okay? Sometimes we don't get it back in return. Sometimes you can pay it forward and sometimes you don't actually get anything. It's just some people who have compassion who are able to give, and some people aren't. Wrapping up this video. Have a wonderful evening.